I have 4:30, Mr. President.
Okay. Let me get back at the top here. I'm going to call this meeting to order.
You're supposed to do certain things.
I'll start the Pledge of Allegiance. Please place your hand over your heart and follow me. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mike, are you available to do the prayer?
Absolutely. From beautiful downtown Salt Lake City, where it's a balmy 51 degrees. Heavenly Father, please watch over this meeting and guide the participants, both from the public and from the dais. Please make sure that decisions made are in the best interests of all involved. And we ask you to be with all those who can't be with us due to injury or illness, in your name. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Madam Clerk, would you do the roll call, please?
Yes, Director Brett Eccles,
Here.
Dr. Arthur Perry.
Here.
Secretary Arlene Schaefer. Here. Vice President Mike Schaefer.
Here.
President Robert Uten.
Here.
Thank you.
Do we have any late communications?
No, Mr. President.
Do you see any hands raised?
No, I do not at this time, but you do have a speaker's card in front of you.
Okay, we'll go on to, Sue, you want to,
Yeah, this is just, it's something that's not on the agenda. Okay, I'm gonna be quick. You guys are gonna be amazed at my brevity. My name is Sue Lester for the record. I am a part of the Citizen Advisory Committee, but I am not here tonight representing them in any way, shape, or form. I'm just here as a resident. I have two things I wanted to bring up. This first thing I've brought up probably 6 or 7 times in the last 4 years, either here or at the CAC meetings, which is term limits for board members. I would encourage all of you and ask you politely, very strongly, to consider instituting term limits for board members. I think if you look at Congress, it's extremely a bad idea to leave it so that people can be elected and stay there forever. I think people can get lazy or kind of check out because they operate on autopilot, or, we think of somebody as being great and, oh, they're doing a great job, let's let them stay there forever. And we shouldn't pick and choose what the guidelines are based on whether we like someone or not. I think it just needs to be the same for everyone. So if you guys could draft in your bylaws that you need, or change the bylaws, I'm not sure how it works with a special district, that there's either two consecutive 4-year terms or whatever it is, and that it can't be overturned by a vote of the board, that it would have to be overturned by the vote of the people. I think that would be outstanding. The second thing is I would like to ask you guys to please consider bilingual pay for a district designee who qualifies as fluent, and this is why. With my HR background, average translation costs are anywhere from $30 to $70 an hour. And depending on how many employees you have and what your constituent base is, most places are providing things in Spanish. Now, the average cost to employees for like special pay, and I called the city and checked with the police department and some other places, is they do anywhere from 2.5% to 5% of the employee's base rate, which I don't necessarily think you have to do it that way. But for instance, if you designated $1,500 a year for one employee, it basically breaks down to $125 a month in addition to their base pay to be your translator. And you could have them go to special events, you could have them translate whatever you needed, as opposed to if you spent $1,500 a year on somebody to contract your translations, they could only provide you with 30 hours of translation for the same price, which is not a good bang for your buck. So please consider that moving forward. I think it would be beneficial to the district and save a lot of time, and also be able, it's a value added type thing for an employee who has the ability to do that. I think they should be compensated. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue. Let's go on. I think we're down to the consent calendar. Do any of the directors want any one item pulled for further discussion?
I move approval of the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you very much. Motion carries unanimously. I don't believe we have a need for a public hearing. Okay, we'll go on to the general manager's reports. The first item is determine whether an owner is responsible for some solid waste and wastewater services at 1815 and a half Tustin Avenue, Costa Mesa. Scott, are you
Yes,
going?
thank you, Mr. President. First, I would like to introduce to you Autumn County Clerk, and I apologize. This is really the first time you are meeting Autumn. We hired Autumn back when we were still in doing the virtual meetings. So when we hired her, we didn't have a chance to introduce her to you, and I apologize for that. Since you went in person, we haven't had a chance to do that. So it's my pleasure to introduce you Autumn Alvarez, who's our accounting clerk, and she will be giving this report to you tonight.
I think she needs some training in,
Sorry, it's because I have long nails, so I couldn't push the button.
thank you, Autumn. Sorry for me.
No, it's okay. So in June of 21, our trash hauler, CR&R, contacted us to verify an account at 1815 and a half Tustin Avenue. After some research, we weren't able to find an existing account for that property, but we did find one for 1815 Tustin Avenue. We had our code enforcement officer go out and do a site check to verify that there were 2 units on the property and not one. So we also looked into the billing for this account and found that it was only being charged as a single family home, not a multifamily home with 2 units. I created an invoice for the additional unit and drafted a letter explaining the charges to the property owner. I mailed out the letter along with the property tax bill and the invoice and the solid waste and wastewater rates for the additional unit. The invoice included charges from the past 3 fiscal years and the current fiscal year, totaling to $729.60. After receiving our correspondence, the property owner requested a hearing based on the charges and is asking the board of directors to waive the fees. And I believe he's here via Zoom right now. So I don't know if he has anything to say.
Yes, hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, fantastic. How great is technology? Hi, everybody. My name is Chad Towersy, and I am the owner of 1815 and 1815 and a half Tustin Avenue in Costa Mesa, California. I am born and raised here in Newport Beach, 4th generation. My grandmother's name is Patricia Cox. May she rest in peace. She owned the duck farm at the end of Mesa Drive. So I plan on staying here for the rest of my life. And I currently work in the solar space, helping a lot of the homeowners in Costa Mesa and East Side and Newport with renewable energy for their homes. I have a young family, a 4-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old daughter and a wife, and we love living in Costa Mesa. And we appreciate the service that you provide to our residents. Upon receiving this bill, which was a surprise, sometimes surprises are great. Like you get, I mean, whether you like to be surprised for a birthday party and see all your friends, that's a good surprise. The surprises probably most of us don't like to find out is that we owe money that we were never told about. So upon receiving the $781, really in the middle of a pandemic when things were pretty tough on everybody, I think we can all agree like last year was a pretty rotten year for the most part. You know, it just was something that we really couldn't afford at that point in time. I got a mortgage. You know, I had lost a job at that point in time, and you know, every dollar counts, especially with inflation going up. all I'm asking for you is to take into consideration, this was never something I really knew about or even agreed upon. I'd ask that you waive that fee and that we can start fresh now moving forward, and you guys can continue to collect on that second property that I do own and am responsible for. So if you could find it in your heart of hearts, I know we pledged allegiance to the flag in the United States of America in the beginning of this meeting. And our other person who's up there in a colder part of California, I believe, said a very beautiful prayer. I would ask that you guys look into your hearts and know that I'm just a young man growing a family here and paying my way in life, but owing something that I didn't know about is not something I would like to have to be responsible for at this point in time. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any of the directors have comments?
I've got several questions and I'll throw them out. Well, first, since we have our speaker, Mr. Towersley on, I believe you've owned this property for roughly 7 years, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And is there another independent family living at the half address, or is it your family, grandma's unit? What's the setup there?
Yeah, it's just a detached property. We do have somebody that occasionally will pay rent there. So yeah, that's how it's set up. It's set up to be rented.
And when you purchased the property, this wasn't in any sort of real estate documents or anything that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of, but as you know, when we do our mortgage statements, there's quite a few pages that we docu-sign or physically sign that I don't think any of us actually read through everything. So if it was squeezed in there somewhere, I definitely overlooked that, and I apologize.
All good. Thank you. And then turning back to staff, what I see RR&R brought this to our attention, and what precipitated this, and how does this normally work? That they just brought it to our attention about a half address, or, I mean, these are going to be more and more as we know with second units on properties.
Well, as the city's doing a much better job notifying us on these additional properties. So hopefully in the future, we won't have something like this incident slip through the cracks. But apparently CR&R was seeing additional trash carts out there and noticing this is in the system, and they want, and that's how we got involved after they contacted us.
Okay, so there were additional carts one day. So, I mean, how long is this? I mean, how long has the unit been there? And so how long have we not been charging for the second unit? Or do we know?
Forever,
Forever?
since it's been there, yeah.
So if it weren't for statutes of limitations, things like this, I mean, we'd have to go back since the beginning of time, basically.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, to previous owners. And then, I mean, is there anything that the homeowner should have done or reported that would be common knowledge or common practice in this event? I mean, how would they know that they get a bill on the property tax rolls, which again, we may or may not all dissect? Was there something that the owner should have done sooner?
Unless they were able to obtain CMSD's rates for that fiscal year and compare them to their property tax bill, I don't think there would have been a way for them to know specifically what cost would be charged.
So according to the report, we notified the homeowner that we hadn't been collecting the proper amounts for, the solid waste. And then at that point, that's where we assessed, we went back 3 years, correct? And calculated as $700 some odd dollars.
Yeah, 3 years plus the current year.
Okay, great. Those are my questions for
I
right
do want to reiterate though, like the property mentioned, and he was shocked to see the bill. When we were notified about this, I tried to put in his shoes as well. I would be shocked too if government agency cares. Here's a bill, you owe us $700.
Right.
That's why when we send a large bill to residents, we give an opportunity to pay it down through over a year's time, interest-free. Most government agencies don't do that. So we do give them an opportunity. We understand the hardship it could create, and that's why we give them an option to do a payment plan for us.
And sorry, I just thought of one thing then. Does this happen? Has this happened very much that we've gone back and back charge or back billed someone?
Fine, very much, but yes, it does happen.
It does happen.
It does
Okay.
happen, sure.
Okay, all right. Those are the questions I have.
Yes, we've gone back many times, but the last few years, very seldom. Caught up with the tax base. And we can only go back to 3 years, not the 7 years that he's owned the property and previous years. So that's the max we can go back.
Okay, what are the directors?
You have a recommendation, Scott?
Our recommendation is to deny his request.
Well, then I'll just follow up. In my head, I don't. Again, it's why I asked, what should the homeowner have done? And in my head, I just can't assess someone a back charge when they didn't know about it. There was really no way for them to rectify it, notify it, and we misbilled it, which isn't necessarily our fault. It happened. And to go back and assess an additional 700 something for 3 years to no fault of the homeowner, I don't feel right about that. Going forward, yes, now we're back on track and we can properly charge the resident at the appropriate rate. So my recommendation would be to uphold the appeal and approve waiving the back charge.
I'll second that.
Discussion? This is Mike.
Who's talking?
Mike,
Mike,
Okay, Mike, go ahead.
in the staff report, under the alternative actions, it says grant the property owner's request to waive half the fees. Scott, did he offer to pay half the fees?
No, that was just another option we put on the table. Our job was to give you all the options you have, and that was one of the options you can do.
But it says grant the property owner's request, so he didn't request paying half of it.
Specific request, half it. No, he did not.
Okay.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. It's,
And Mr. President, if I could interrupt.
Sure.
As the board makes its decision tonight, it would want to consider going forward, what we do. Not obviously, a lot of people have paid their bill.
Right.
And from now on, is the board sending a message to us that they don't get charged if we did not bill them? That's maybe a topic for another night, but that's certainly
sure.
on the table from the discussion we're having.
Can I make a comment? I have a question. I think it sucks that he got hit with a $700 bill. I know I would probably be out if that happened to me. But like Alan pointed out, you guys are kind of setting a precedent here on what's going to happen going forward. And if he got a bill and he had no way of knowing that he wasn't being charged what he was supposed to be charged because the bill is constructed, how are you guys going to change the bill moving forward so somebody can look at it and know exactly what they're being charged for? So if they don't pick up on it and bring it to your attention, that you're right in assessing the back money that they owe. I'm kind of have mixed feelings. I feel bad. I, on one hand, don't think that he should have to pay $700, but on the other hand, you are setting a precedent here. So if there's a way to fix his problem and fix it moving forward, so if someone looks at the bill, they know they're not being charged correctly, and if they don't say anything, okay, then hammer them. But if he didn't really know, kind of a problem that needs a solution in addition to a vote, in my opinion. So just one.
Thank you, Sue.
I think Scott's idea of, $70 a month
Mhm.
for 12 months or 10 months would be a sufficient way to go instead of one lump sum. And I would figure that the rents coming in from 18, 15 or 15 would be enough to compensate that. So my recommendation is not to set the precedent and charge them the fee. And they can work out the way they do it.
I mean, that's all fine and dandy that you think that just because I have a renter on a property, you don't know how much I charge them or what my situation is with that person. So you can't base some decision that you're going to make today off of what if I have somebody in my property. That's not what this is about. There's wrong and there's right. This is not a gray area right now. You guys are trying to charge me for something that I had no clue was on my property. One, the reason you guys even found out that this is even happening was because I called in because your service forgot to pick up my trash cans which they've done about 10 times over the course of the last 7 years of me being in the property. They conveniently like to forget to pick up my trash. So I have to call you guys and take time out of my busy schedule to say, hey, here we are. Once again, you guys forgot to pick my trash up. And that's how this all started. They came out and they said, well, how many cans are on the property? And I said, we've got this many cans on the property. Okay, well, you're not supposed to have that many cans. Well, how did I get that many cans in the first place? I bought the house with that many cans. Why is this now being brought up that it's like, I'm not supposed to have? this
Okay,
many
okay. I've heard enough from you. There's a substitute motion on the floor.
Right, that's what I'm making.
And
substitute.
Mr. President, one more time, please, if I could just remind everyone that all comments go through the president. He recognizes speakers and you speak in turn when the president recognizes you.
Okay, there's a substitute motion on the floor. Do I have a second to the substitute
I'll
motion?
second it.
Okay, all in favor of the substitute motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Substitute motion carries.
Was that 4-1?
3-1. I don't know, Bob would.
I voted for the substitute
Page
motion.
4-1.
Okay, we're going to item, just a minute, I got to get back. Item number 2. Consider approving new job classifications and hiring 2 new employees in the wastewater collections department and ordering a new combo sewer cleaning unit and 1 pickup truck. Scott, are you going to lead this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So this discussed with the board of directors. We first discussed it on March 9th of 2021. We discussed it again on April 26th, 2021. And then we had another discussion on it just recently on May 10th, 2022. On the May 10th study session meeting or the board meeting, the board directed staff to come back with some additional information. Specifically, the board wanted some more information as far as how much it cost us when we had to hire additional contractors or rented additional units to help clean the system. And that information is provided in your staff report. And as you can see, the district has spent almost $250,000 when it comes to additional contractors and renting a unit. The board also requested to see what would be the preliminary budget, amended budget would look like if the board approved these expenses. And that is attached in your staff report. We did have to do some adjustments in our CIP budgets after talking to our district engineer. Those reductions in the CIP budgets won't delay those projects. Those projects continue. And as you can see in the preliminary amended budget, we could hire the 2 additional new employees, which would be a electrical instrumentation technician and a wastewater maintenance worker 2, along with purchasing a new combination sewer cleaning unit and a pickup truck. In addition, we did also added the 5% COLA in there just to demonstrate that we can still balance the budget. So as that's attached to you. So staff is recommending that the board proceeds with staff's recommendation to approve the job description and salary range for the electrical instrument technician position, approve hiring 2 new employees that include 1 electrical instrumentation technician and 1 wastewater maintenance worker, and direct staff to place the order of the 1 new combination sewer cleaning unit because it would take almost a year for that unit to be delivered. Also order 1 pickup truck, and then approve appropriating $878,500 to the salaries and benefits account and a capital outlay account for fiscal year 22-23. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do any of the directors have questions?
Just about the timing of getting the truck. I mean, it takes a year to get it, or you still want to hire the employees now?
Yes, as I mentioned, staff, we do have some work for staff. Primarily, they'd be inspecting manholes. Like I said, we over 5,000 manholes. We want to inspect those manholes. We also, they can help with CCTVing the pipelines, cleaning wet wells. So there'll be plenty of work for staff while we wait for the unit to be delivered.
I have one other question. So do we need the extra pickup truck to do that now, or do we wait till we get the combination truck?
We could wait a few months for the pickup truck, or I have to talk to staff. I'm sure if we hire the additional employees, they probably want the additional pickup truck. So it'd be best that come July 1, we order the pickup truck.
Do you think it'll be difficult to get an electrician hired or not?
It's hard to say. We're gonna try our best to find someone that has it's not just one of those electricians that works in buildings. It has to have some skills in the wastewater industry, and it could be a bit of a challenge, but we're gonna go through a firm that trains professionals in the wastewater industry. That is kind of like a temp agency, and see if they can find someone for us.
Okay, that answers my questions.
Scott, the question was, can you hire, do you think you can hire them? What would be the typical time for new staff, if approved, to get on board? And it probably depends on a lot.
Well, again, if I go through this organization, which we've used in the past to hire a temp wastewater maintenance worker, and he worked out fine, and we ended up hiring him. If they have someone available, we can probably bring someone on board within a month.
So the wastewater worker can come pretty quickly.
Yes.
And the other is, you're not sure how long it would take to get the,
I'm assuming that the electrical instrumentation technician, I think we can get quickly. The wastewater maintenance worker too. Again, it's a possibility. We know of other people in other organizations that are looking to go somewhere, so we're going to reach out to them, and maybe we can hire them quickly.
I just wanted to comment, you know, in the newspaper, every day almost, you see something about the pipes and what's going on in different cities and so on. And I'm really in favor of his hiring of the two, because I think it will help us as far as where we haven't touched on sooner than
Okay.
before.
One other question. Will the electrician have a maintenance or 2 level also? Or not, just electrician?
It's a Mark, you recall, it's a special certification they receive from SARBS, and I can't remember it. It's not specifically a grade, but it's a special certification in electrical instrumentation that they would receive.
Which you wouldn't require him to get that, would you?
Yes, we would.
I mean, no, of the level 2.
Well, for the wastewater maintenance worker
Would you
too.
require him to get that also or
No, the wastewater maintenance worker too, they're required at least to get the grade 1. The grade 1 is the minimum.
But I guess I'll answer your question. They do have 4 electrical technical grades through CWEA, and I think that's going to be one of the requirements when eventually they'll have to work through that process.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is probably, question for Caitlin. On the budget, I think I have a pretty good understanding of how you tweaked it a little bit. Can you just walk me through briefly about balancing our current budget if we were to approve the additional employees and the capital outlay?
Yes, good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. So if you look, I'm looking at the preliminary amended wastewater fund budget, the attachment there. It starts off with revenue, and there's the adopted wastewater column, the new rate wastewater fund column, and the variance. So it starts out with revenue, and you can see that we will get in with the new rate. We'll get in 917,000 in the revenue. And then after that is the expenses. Starts off with salaries and benefits. So you can see the breakdown of in the staff report. So the last column, the variance, that's how much we'll need in salaries and benefits column. On page 1 at the end, salaries and benefits, we'll need 346,136. Are you following me, or am I lost?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Screen, so I'm not sure if everyone's on the same page with I am. Or can I share screen, Nolani?
Here, let me give you control. Hold on.
Should have done that earlier. Share my screen's easier to follow.
All right, there you go.
Thank you. Okay. So you can see my screen here. Let's start back to the top. So here's the revenue.
Can you enlarge that, Caitlin? It's a little small on this side.
Okay, sorry. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
One more time.
More? Okay. It's
There you
really
go.
big on my screen. Here. So here's the revenue that we're bringing in, the addition. This is the total revenue that we're bringing in. And then these are the expenses, the additional expenses for, this includes the 5% COLA as well.
So Caitlin, while you're there though, because that was one thing, and I'm sure it's a dumb question, but the 45K versus the 289K below, what's the 45 versus say the 289 below?
Great question. So this is salaries and benefits for the administrative employees. So HQ staff. So it's split there, like for example, my salary, it's split between fund, solid waste fund, 20% solid waste fund, and 80% in the wastewater fund for my salary. So it depending on your position. Like down here, this is for the field staff. So their 100% salary expenses are for wastewater only. They don't deal with solid waste. So that's why it has to be separated out from administrative and wastewater maintenance field staff.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's why you see there's regular salary here and then regular salary down here again. So if you add the administrative and the field staff together, this is what you get in total for wastewater fund.
Got it.
Okay. And then on page 2, the only thing that changed is that I added in contingency. There's 4,100 that we throw in contingency. And then wastewater district yard, because we are no longer using CNR drain contract, each year we sign contract with them, we budget for this amount, so we're taking this away. So there's a negative 2,400 there. And then going down capital outlay, this is where I add in the pickup truck and the combo truck. So we increase that spends this much. Okay. And then here's all the updates for CIP, but remember this is preliminary amended. I will need to bring this back to you in June next month. So these might be, after I talk to the district engineer, these number might change, but we'll stay within this range. Okay, and any other question? Does that explain this?
Well,
Okay.
so I heard somewhere this balances it, and that's where I'm trying to get my head around. Because we're increasing, I mean, 634 and change. So that's where I'm just trying to get my head around.
So the cut is, we're reducing the CIP budget.
Right.
So you see here, this is where it makes the budget balance.
All right.
This is what we adopted, and this is what we're put, or this preliminary amended budget.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank you, Caitlin.
Well, Caitlin, let me ask, the combo truck comes out of the facilities revolving fund?
No,
Or-
that comes out of asset replacement fund.
Well, so we have a million plus in the asset in that fund. So that's where
I'm sorry, let me take that back. No, this is a brand new truck. So it's actually, we put it in the rate study, the wastewater rate study. We added that as another expense. So it's coming from the rate.
okay, well, that's the way you've shown it. Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions for staff or Caitlin?
Part of the presentation was the 5% COLA increase, but we haven't discussed that. That's the next thing on the agenda. So that'll be based on what we decide after that.
Well, I just want to show you, we could afford both. We could afford the units, the new employees and the COLA. Just want to demonstrate that, but we still need direction from you on the next.
Right, because I didn't want to approve it
Right.
with the 5% on the table, because it's going to change after we discuss it.
Yeah.
Any other questions by the directors?
No, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Based on tonight's presentation, thank you, Caitlin, and our study session, we went over this, and then actually my tour of President's Pump Station, and which was awesome. And I mean, one of our biggest responsibilities is to prevent SSOs and make
Okay.
sure we have a clean system, as I call it. And to be able to do that, this is, I think, where our efforts need to be. And if, we need the additional manpower, I think we do. And yeah, this is where we need to spend our money, our focus, and our time, because none of us up here want to look at the residents in the face of, well, we just had 5 spills because
Yep.
we didn't do the right thing. And yes, it's going to be a financial thing, but I'm good with spending our finances for this. So
Is that a motion?
sure, I'll make a motion to approve staff's recommendation to hire the additional personnel and the capital outlay for the trucks.
I'll even second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to the item number 3.
Sorry, Mr. President, hang on. Vice President Schaefer, I didn't get your vote. Thank you.
That's because I was muted. I voted aye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so it is unanimous. Sue, you want to talk about this one too?
But I want to hear what you guys all have to say.
Okay.
Because I may not have anything to throw in there.
Okay. Okay, this item is consider approving 5% cost of living increase for Costa Mesa Sanitary District employees.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So this item was discussed at the last board meeting on May 10th, and the board directed staff to come back with some additional information. Specifically, the board wanted to see more of the COLAs from previous years. And in the last board meeting, we gave 10 years, past 10 years of COLAs. The board wanted to see further earlier years. And so on your staff report is a table of COLAs from 2005 to present. And the reason why we stopped at 2005 is if you know your history of the sanitary district. We were incorporated in 1944, and soon after the incorporation, the district had a 50-year partnership with the city of Costa Mesa. It was in 2004 when the district decided to kind of split away from the city and went its own ways, and that's when we started hiring that's when we started hiring staff. Before that, it was all the system was maintained by city staff. So in 2004, the district split away and hired its own staff, and that's why you'll see that 2005 would be the first year staff would be eligible for a COLA adjustment. So you have the COLA adjustments from 2005 to 2021, and then the board directed staff to come back with information as far as what is the total annual compensation per employees for other organizations, and you have that in your staff report. We obtained this data from the state controller's office. The compensation is from 2020 because 2021 is not available yet. But as you can see, the average total annual compensation per employee The median from the agencies that we listed there, the median is about $82,548. CMSD's annual wages are 28% below the median at $64,557. So staff does believe a COLA is justifiable, a 5% COLA. I do also want to mention that today I did present to you the latest consumer price index from April. It was 7.9%. So it's still higher than we do our CPIs from February to February, which was 7.4%. So it is still quite high with all the additional prices going up, such as food, electricity, auto gasoline. We think, I believe a 5% COLA adjustment is warranted to staff. So I am recommending that the board approve a 5% cost of living adjustment and then approve appropriating $127,000 to the salaries and benefits accounts in the fiscal year 22, 23 budget. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Do any of the directors have questions?
We have the public, we want
Oh,
to,
we do have, sir, did you want to, I don't have your name, so state your name, Chris, and
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Fuchsovich, and I'm here to public comment on this item. I just wanted to say that I really think that this is not enough, really, for the employees of the Costa Mesa Sanitary District. Year-over-year inflation on the nationwide level is actually 8.3%. I know this is for the Los Angeles area, but CPI's calculation is less and less accurate. The smaller the unit goes, the geographical unit. We also know that inflation rates differ depending on people's individual lifestyles. And especially for people making kind of lower than the median age, inflation has actually been higher because low income goods, like non-organic produce, for an example, is actually surging at a higher price than inflation. And so while I think it is noble to have a COLA adjustment of 5%, I really think the Costa Mesa Sanitary District employees deserve something that actually matches the realities that are being faced in the market at the moment. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
thank you. Do any of the directors have comments?
the only comment the discussion with all the different OC Sanitary District, the cities, we're not really, the only one that really relates to us is Midway City Sanitation District, and they're lower than we are right now. That's the comment I have. And they're the only other one in Orange County with that, a lower amount. And, my recommendation when we talked before was like a 3%, but I'm not sure I'm accurate. I'm not sure I'm right with doing that. So I'd like to hear from the rest of the board what they think.
Yeah, I kind of followed your line of thought the last meeting, 3.5%. I would be pretty comfortable with, especially looking at our historical COLA increases, and that combined with merit-based increase. And I know that a few of our employees are capped at that. I think a 3.5 would be a good starting point, and I'm kind of in that 3.5 range myself right now, but we'll see what we talk about.
Do any of the other directors have comments on this item?
I see Vice President Schaefer's hand raised.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with both my colleagues and probably more agree with the gentleman who just spoke from the public. Our employees deserve at least 5%. I kind of think that we should be more realistic and look at what it's really costing these employees. And, it's not just what it costs, but I think us as a board showing support for our employees and helping them get closer to the standard of living that they deserve by taking COLA to the levels they need to be. And I think we need to show the support to our employees and compromise at 5%. I was watching the news earlier about the cost of, even baby formula availability. And I'm not sure how many employees have to pay for baby formula, but holy crap, it's just, our employees deserve at least 5%. And I'm going to support 5%.
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion, Mike?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve staff's recommendation for a 5% COLA, with a question to why aren't we including the general manager as well? So that's my motion.
Well,
I'll second that.
okay, we have a motion and a second.
We hear from Sue.
Sue,
Yeah.
get over to microphone.
I agree that you guys should give the employees the 5%. And this is why I agree with it. I don't look at historically what you've done and said, you've only given, this percentage, you've never given 5. And so we shouldn't do that. I think history is important to look at as a guide, but you shouldn't follow it because it's the way you've always done something. It's shown that you guys are able to accommodate in the budget the money to cover it. I think that cost of living and merit should always be separate. I've been an HR person for many years, and I've always prided myself on looking out for the business and the employees equally, because I think you need to care for both equally. The amount of money that goes into training and keeping employees is more than any 5% increase you could possibly give them if you had to replace key personnel. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I looked on the County of Orange website and I looked at some of our surrounding cities and I looked at all the jobs that they have that are open. And a lot of people that work here would potentially qualify for some of those jobs with some of the things they know how to do, and they get paid a lot more. You have a great team here. They work really hard. And after I sat through some of the discussions about giving CR&R a CPI increase outside of their contract, which would have equated to almost $700,000, I think this is very little to ask for the people that keep everything running. It can be covered in the budget. And I don't want to say charity starts at home because I don't think paying people a living wage is charity, but take care of your own. So please, 5%.
Thank you, Sue.
Do we have a motion already on the floor?
We have a motion, Arlene did it. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Well, any opposed?
I think Mark and Mike did a good job of presenting it to us. Changed my mind.
Okay, thank you, guys. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4. Consider approving an agreement for the independent audit services.
Thank you, Mr. President. Caitlin Tran will be giving this report.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. The existing agreement for audit services has ended for the fiscal year of June 30th, 2021. Staff prepared and issued a request for proposal for independent audit services. The district requested firms to propose an annual financial audit of the district for the fiscal years ending June 30th, 2022 through 2024, plus an option to extend the term for 2 additional one-year periods. The district received proposal from 3 firms. An evaluation committee of three district staff and the district treasurer evaluated the proposal and conducted interviews via Zoom with all 3 firms. As a result, the firm of Nigro and Nigro PC presented the best overall proposal. The audit fee for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022 is $15,000. Nigro and Nigro PC proposed a total cost of $45,000 for the fiscal years ending June 30th, 2022 through 2024. The audit fees for the optional fiscal years ending June 30th, 2025 and 2026 were proposed at $15,000 each year. Adequate funding for each year of the agreement will be provided in the applicable year's budget. Staff recommends that the Board of Directors approve awarding a contract to Nigro and Nigro PC for independent audit services in the amount of $45,000 for fiscal years ending June 30th, 2022 through 2024, and directs the general manager to sign the agreement.
Do any of the, do you have a question?
Just a
Art?
question, is that normal for a 3-year contract? Okay. I'll,
What's the question?
is it
Is
normal
it for a 3-year contract,
contract?
which it
3
is?
years.
Yes.
That's what, then they can extend it 2 more years. if-
Correct. Correct.
Question of Caitlin, the best value, can you give me just a synopsis of the best value points that Nagaro basically overcame say, the lowest number bid? Like what other services were they offering that made their best value increase, I guess?
There were 3 firms submitted the proposal, and 2 came top. And actually, Rogers, Anderson, Malady, and Scott, they were the best, but their price was pretty high. As you can see in the staff report, their price is a lot higher than Nigro. But we looked at the firm qualifications, the experience, their staff experience, the years of experience, who they audit, and their audit approach, similar engagement with other government entities. The price got them over the top. That beat the other firm.
And my own business, we just bid this out for our own reviewed and audited statements, and it's painful. Good luck. But this is an appropriate general market price because I shop the heck out of it because it's a big chunk of change. But so I'm fine with the number. The one request I would say in future on these things, when we go best value, because I am very familiar with that, but a member of the public may look at this and not be familiar, and they just look, well, they're $2,000 a year cheaper. It would be nice to see the total points in a report. That way I could say, okay, well, because you laid out what the point system is, but not how each of the 3 bidders came in at. And it's like, okay, well, this one's valued at 5 points, this one's 4, and this one's 2. I think that would be helpful for future use for those who are interested.
I agree. Orange County Sand District publishes, how each firm is rated on each of the factors. And I think that's what Director Eccles is requesting. So once the staff has done that, it should be easy to incorporate into the agenda report. So do I have a motion on this?
I move for approval of this item with the 45,000 included in it as recommended
I'll second the motion.
for 3
All in
years.
favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 5, which is approve the auditor engagement letter for fiscal year 21-22.
Thank you, Mr. President. Caitlin Tran will be giving us a report.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the board. In preparation of the start of the June 30th, 2022 audit, the auditors have issued an auditor engagement letter disclosing their responsibility under the U.S. Generally Accepted Auditing Standards and the Government Auditing Standards, and the State Controller's minimum audit requirements for the California Special Districts. The preliminary audit is scheduled for May 31st, 2022. That's next week. And the final audit will be scheduled for early October this year. The financial statement will be issued toward the end of the calendar year. Staff recommends that the Board of Directors accepts the auditor's engagement letter for the fiscal year 2021-22 audit and authorize President Uten to sign the engagement letter on behalf of CMSD.
Do any of the directors have questions?
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Brett, did you have a question? Oh, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Item passes unanimously. Move on to item number 6. Consider sending, looks like 3 staff to the annual Tri-State Seminar. Do any of the directors have any questions?
Mark, have you been there before?
No, just want to make a comment that when they come back, they should have a report for us.
Okay.
I just had a question for Mark. Have you been there before?
Yeah, probably about 10 or 12 years ago.
Beneficial?
Yes, extremely, because you get to see both vendors and you get to see technical sessions.
And there's a substantial number of programs. I used to be I helped with the program, so I've attended a long time ago. Any input on this, or do I have a motion?
Move for approval of this item as presented.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Okay, the next item, number 7, is consider approving contribution program application for concerts in the park. I think we've done this historically. Have you all read the agenda report?
Yes, but have we approved it at that level before? At $2,500? It seems a lot to me, but for what you get, but I'd like the other level better, the $1,500 one myself. You know, I'm always that way.
What?
Any other questions, Director Eccles?
Somewhere when I was reading over the weekend, the amount is in our budget, correct, currently at the 25. Okay. Now I'd also read about, one of our biggest things that is about educating the public on the, organics, separation, recycle, from regular. How are we accomplishing this at Concerts in the Park? Because I don't see that going to happen out there, but what are we doing as part of this?
I'll turn it over to Gina Nolani. We do set up a booth, and it is quite busy with a lot of people. So I'll turn it over to them. They can explain the activity they receive.
Yes, so typically we'll set up a community booth at the event, and we usually have some type of activity, usually geared towards children. So in past years, we've done a sorting game where we give them, a banana, which trash cart does it go into? Popular giveaways like kitchen pails. Sometimes we have toy trash trucks, but usually we try to keep it something sustainable, reusable bags, things like that. This year, we do have a wastewater activity where the kids can build their own sewer system, which is pretty cool. So those are just some of the ways we engage. We talk to the parents about our different programs that are available to them. But we definitely want to focus on organics with SB 1383.
And do we get that booth at 1,500? What don't we get at 1,500?
I think 2,500 is the amount where we can get the booth. So anything below that, there is no booth.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I know it's not a tremendous amount of money, but it's like $2,500. We just charged a resident 300 something and spend a bunch of money on other things. Like, to have a booth at the park, and I appreciate that maybe a ton of people will be there, and that's great. I'd kind of like to look at the 1,500 mark in today's environment, but just my opinion. I'll go along with the majority, but
I've always voted no personally, but just because of the amount, but
yeah,
I'll go.
Mike, did you have a comment?
Just for Gina and Nolani, as they set this up, we saw a lot of success with the battery recycling program. And I would just request that you guys have some kind of flyer or some kind of reminder to, probably not to the kids because they don't save the batteries, the adults do, but just something to make sure they know that we have that program and that the schools benefit from that program. If we could just include that, whichever level we approve.
Thank you. We can do that.
Well,
I just wanted to say that I think it's great public relations for us to get to the community through something like this. And we always have so many people at the booth. You know, I mean, I've been at the booth a lot. It's really worthwhile because everybody wants to get some of the flyers, some of the information, some of the pencils, whatever they're giving out. And better still, they answer questions. And I think it's got a great purpose.
Yes, you're right. To get a booth, you have to pay the 2,500. But do they provide the 10 by 10 pop-up? Or do you have to bring your own? They provide all of that, the table and chairs.
I believe they can provide it, but we like to bring our own because it has our logo and our branding on it.
In last year, did you have it last year?
No, we did not.
Previous years, did we get a special parking spot like they say on here?
Yes.
So you're aware of that?
Sorry. One other question. How much more, because we're gonna have some giveaways, we're gonna have some marketing material. How much more are we gonna spend above and beyond the 25 to have that booth?
We have some on hand, so we're not planning to order any extra at this point.
I like the $1,500. So I would make that motion to go with the 1,500 and we'll see if anyone agrees.
Do we have a second on the motion?
I think,
Can I offer a substitute motion? Yeah, I think it's important that we have the booth, so I'm gonna move that we support it at the $2,500 level.
yes, I think it's important that we have a booth if we're going to spend any money. So if
Right.
it has to be the 2,500, that's probably the better way to go. Or we can't get any information out. Why would we spend 1,500 to do nothing other than have a logo and our name? But to have a booth to give out the information
Okay.
makes more sense.
Do I have a second on
I'll
the
second that
substitute motion?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor of the substitute motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1. My screen's gone blank, as has my head. There we go. Okay, on to engineers reports. Mark?
Yes, I've got four items to quickly give you. On the 328, the DIP Phase 2, it's almost done. We have one segment that crosses Newport Boulevard at Industrial Way. We've got a large hole in the pipe and we've got to figure out what to do with it. I don't know if we'll do a change order or whether we're going to let it go and come back and do something else with it. I'll let you know next month. But if we decide to move forward without lining that project, I'll be back in June or July to close out that particular project. Phase 3 is moving forward. The contractor is cleaning, so the DIP Phase 3 is also moving to get along, and that one should be done, I'm going to say, August timeframe. So we'll have basically been caught up at that point, and then I'll only have a few segments left to eliminate all the DIP within our system. 336 grade 4 repairs. They started moving forward. The contractor is cleaning our 8-inch sewer pipes, and they'll be lining those, and I'm going to say they'll be done in August. And then 21st Street 337. We're going to be removing the air release valve on the 21st Street Pump Station force main. The air release valve is on southbound Newport Boulevard by the storage plate yard there. And rather than do $100,000 projects, we're doing about a 36 and some change $1,000 project to remove that and leave a manual valve there. So that one we'll have another one, basically potential leak eliminated at that location. And then project 341, it's a redundant force main for Eldon Pump Station. Your general manager and I continue to talk about this project. We've been talking with Jacobs Engineering, and we'll probably be bringing an item. We will be bringing an item to the study session next month so that we can discuss that with you further. Depending on what we hear, we'll probably take a amendment or excuse me, an agreement forward for your consideration and approval at that same month. That concludes my engineer's report. Any questions?
Just a quick question. Have we eliminated all grade 5s?
Yes, all grade 5s are done. We're going to work our way through the grade 4s. I'm going to say it'll be 3 or 4 years, 5 years maybe before we get those done.
But there's quite a few of those, aren't there?
Yeah, I've looked at many of them on myself and they're very stable. So I think we should be fine getting through the next, I'll say 3 to 5 year period.
Any other questions for Mark? Is this a receive and file?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, on to, I don't see a treasurer report. Alan, do you have an attorney's report? This is a
I have 2 more items.
Two more, number
Okay.
2 or 3.
Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, I have a project 33.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Go.
Okay. I do have a presentation I can give you on this project, but what I'll do is I will propose that we're recommending to approve the budgeted transfer from project 332 to 335 of $51,000. I would like to recommend awarding a contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder in situ form for the amount of $226,843, and also approve a 10% contingency in the amount of $22,684. Like I said, I have a presentation I'm happy to give you. It's about 5 slides, but I suspect if you've read this, it's pretty straightforward. So any questions, or would you like me to give you my report?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? On to item number 3, Mark.
Yes. As many of you have seen, President's Pump Station is essentially finished. So tonight I get to ask you to accept the improvements as completed and allow the district to file a notice of completion. We also want you to exonerate labor and materials bond 35 days after the notice of completion has been recorded by the County of Orange, and exonerate the faithful performance bond 1 year after notice of completion has been recorded. With that, I guess I'm available to answer any questions, but again, you guys have seen the station. I think it's a good looking station, and I'm available to provide more information or answer your questions.
As someone who chases knocks almost means retentions are released, I would like to move for approval to issue the notice of completion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Mark.
President Schaefer, was that an aye from you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
When I unmute it is.
Okay, I don't believe we have a treasurer's report. On to, is this a standing item, to continue the meetings?
Vote meeting authorization resolution.
Okay, I'll move approval on this item.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you very much. I'm trying to move my screen and with the wrong thing. Okay, we go on to reports.
Oh.
Okay, an Orange County Sand District report. Basically, I left that report at home. And the board meeting will be next week. And I'll include them in a future write-up or the next session, what I haven't talked about tonight. Was there a SARFA meeting?
No, there wasn't.
Okay, ISDOC, Secretary Schaefer.
Okay. On ISDOC, let's see. Well, can I just give all the expense stuff? I have?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
leave the meeting pretty quick.
So on the ISDOC board member, there was actually Waco meeting that I went to, and that was good because that was a meeting with it was with the
Okay, it was with, I can tell you about
the
that.
Water District
It was MWD.
Advisory Committee of
Basically,
Orange County.
Yeah. And they're mandating the agencies they serve to go to a level 2 response for water conservation. And
Yeah.
their planning department says, there's a potential to save 80% of the water that's outdoor use and up to 20% for indoor use.
Mhm.
Is that going to affect June 1st?
Just for the member, for their member agencies. I
Not
think,
for Costa Mesa?
I don't think so. It'll be the governor that will mandate.
But
But
I haven't seen any communications. I went to that meeting too, and
Yeah.
they told us June 1st was the date, but Costa Mesa or Mesa Water hasn't provided any information for us, so.
I think it's just for the member agencies. There's 5 of them. Pardon me, Arlene, I'm gonna run.
So what was interesting on this was that actually what they've done is they've projected a budget of $8.5 million. So that they're going to be contacting all the news media, the TVs, and they're putting everything into their theme, which is living in the dash. So everything is living in the dash. And they're also going to do radio. So if you have a radio on, you'll hear that too. And this is all to help with the water situation. So that's a real important thing. And then, let's see what else I have here. Then Tuesday was Ledge Day. So I went up Monday because I'm on the executive board and we had a meeting then. And then Tuesday was all legislation met. And we listened to different legislation bills that came up about. And then we also had a luncheon and we had all of the different legislators sitting at tables dealing with your area, which was really impressive, so that we were able to talk to them. We gave them a folder about special districts, so they understood special districts a little better. As far as if you turn on the water, you're fine, but without us, you don't. And the wastewater is the same situation. It really was good. And then after that, there was a reception that we had, and we invited them to come to it. And it was one-on-one where we were able to chat with them and talk to them, and for them to have a better understanding too of what we need and what we could oppose on bills and what we want on the bills. So it was a very worthwhile get together. And then from there, on Wednesday, we had some more ledge days, and a lot of going back and forth on this. And on the bills, the legislators from our area all talked. Then there was the CSDA people that were all involved. They gave the bill numbers, they told the opposed and what was going on. So it gave us a better take on what we really need to vote for that's coming up and what we shouldn't vote for. And then Wednesday was the end of it. And so I came home and I had a Costa Mesa study session on the end of the month, and that was it.
Vice
Okay.
President Schaefer, President
Yeah.
Ernst deferred the meeting to you.
I noticed he's given control of the meeting to me, which is fine. Item 5, the Special District Risk Management Authority. We had our board meeting earlier this month, and probably the biggest thing out of the board meeting was we had a chance to meet with our brokers for the property and liability and the workers' comp programs. And as dire as things have been, we're starting to see some relief and some carriers that are being more receptive to what's happening in California. I'm not with you this evening because I'm in beautiful downtown Salt Lake City, which is in full construction mode. I mean, the whole Temple Square area, the Mormon church is doing a lot of work to improve things. So it's a little hectic here. And as I look out the window, it's still light here. I don't know. And I want to thank Nolani. I logged in at 4:30 today for the meeting. and nobody was there. Well, that's because it was only 3:30 in California when it was 4:30 here. So oops is right. Anyway, we're here. As you know, we have a captive organization, Joint Powers Authority, that's basically an investment strategy for SDRMA, and Utah state law says that we have to meet in person once a year. So came all the way to Salt Lake City for about an hour and 10-minute meeting, and now I have to sit around and wait to fly home tomorrow. So I'll be glad to be back in California. With that, any other meetings that anybody wants to report on?
I'll present mine in writing, like I always do.
Thank you for bringing up the Waco, or I think as Bob brought up the Waco information. I actually attended the Waco meeting literally or virtually on the road to Portland last Friday or 2 weeks ago Friday. And it was a good, it was one of the better Waco meetings. I actually thought they did a good job with their presentation. So, okay, no other meetings? Then we'll move to oral communications and director comments. Anything from staff that anybody would like to? Scott?
I have a comment, Mike.
Okay.
I have a comment too.
You hear me, Mike?
Yeah, I got you. So Art, I'm gonna let Arlene go first.
Okay.
Because we never let Arlene go first.
I know.
Go ahead, Arlene.
I just wanted to say that I don't know about your weather when you were in Sacramento, but my weather was 90 degrees. It was just a real scorcher.
It was cold and rainy in Portland until the graduation day, which was Monday, and it was held outdoors and it was dry. So, but as soon as we crossed the border into California and stopped in Redding, it was 97 degrees all the way to Bakersfield. So yeah, I agree. It was toasty.
So anyway, that's the only comment I had.
Okay, from the Waco meeting, I had a couple questions. The CSDA conference, August 22nd, 25th, are we all set on that? Okay, then are you going to be going to the general manager's workshop
The leadership summit?
at Coronado?
Yes, I'll be there.
Okay,
yes.
are you presenting or?
Yes.
Okay. And then Special Districts Leadership Academy, September 18th to 21st. Do we have someone going to that for the leadership?
At the one in Napa?
Yes.
Director Eccles, are you going to that one? I think Director Eccles might be going to that.
You going to the one in Napa?
September?
Oh, wait, no.
No, not September. That's
September.
Palm
Yeah.
Springs, Palm
Palm
Springs.
Desert.
Okay, so no one's going to the academy.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then Board Secretary, Monterey.
Actually, Art, I may be going up to Napa, but for SDRMA.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just curious if we're, attending the conferences. And then the Board Secretary, are we sending somebody up to Monterey?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Those are my questions.
Mr. Vice President, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just had one comment. I forgot to say this. I should have. We as a board have turned around and nominated for CSDA, the general manager for the whole year of California. And so it's really exciting. We're going through this, and at the meeting in the desert is when they announce who get it. Also, we've also have, of course, that's Scott for that, and great presentation. So I want everybody to pray for that one. And then also the other one is Mike Schaefer as board member of the year. And so that's really exciting to be in on this, and we all hope and wish everybody luck on it. We will be turning around and going through the voting in June, and that's through a committee I'm on, and I have to, it's a conflict of interest, so I have to abstain from that part, but not the rest of it. So it's exciting.
I'm still not gonna wear a tie. It's Palm Desert after all.
No way.
Shorts. Hey, Brett, you had.
It's
Go ahead.
air conditioned and
There you go. I wouldn't wear the tie either, I guess, the one time, but thank you, Mr. Vice President. A few just comments. First, thank you to everyone for showing up. It's nice for me to stare out and not look at a blank wall. So fortunately, we're open. And so my thanks for all of your participation. And also a big thank you to staff in the city of Costa Mesa and Newport Mesa Unified School District about whatever it was, 9 months ago, brought forth an idea about our I call it Amazon boxes and shredding, and we're getting that thing going in June. So I'm super happy that we're able to do that for the community. I think it's going to be a great event, and through our partners of the city and school district. And I would encourage all residents, save up those boxes, save up those tax documents that you don't need anymore. Get them recycled and shredded and all that good stuff. So that's coming up.
Yes, June 11th.
June 11th. Thank you.
June 11th.
And so I plan to be there and hopefully see a bunch of folks out there for that event. And then also I've mentioned before, but it's coming up next week. The Costa Mesa United Pilot Cup used to be the LA Times Pilot Cup. Youth soccer tournament out at Jack Hammett, Costa Mesa High School and Davis Elementary. It is an incredible event. If you want to see a bunch of 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade boys and girls, some who play soccer, most of them who don't, just going out there playing with their schoolmates after a 3-year hiatus because of COVID. It's back, and I'm very thankful to CRR&R for helping supply a lot of the additional waste bins and dumpsters and things like that. So my thanks to them to help support this. It's going to be a great tournament, and I would encourage everyone to come out. Sundays are usually a good day to the awards presentations. You see a bunch of 3rd grade crying girls getting their trophy. That doesn't warm your heart, nothing will. So encourage you to come out on Sunday, which would be June 5th, between 3 and 5 are usually the awards presentations. And then finally, Sue Lester brought it up about term limits, and may not make me popular or I don't know, but I'm a strong believer in term limits at all levels of government, whatever the case may be. And whatever the terms are, I think it's important. A mentor of mine has reminded me over the years, always look for your replacement. New, fresh blood, new people coming into whatever organization, whether private or public or volunteerism, whatever it may be. So if I get any agreement, I would love to put that discussion on a study session to, at the very minimum, look at what we have in front of us. And if I get any agreement from fellow board members, I'd love to see that in an upcoming study session. Just look at options, and if that means I'm out of here in the next term, so be it. But I believe strongly in term limits, so I would be supportive of studying that issue. And with that, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, and appreciate everyone's participation.
Thanks, Brett. I just, one quick comment from me. I think it was in Friday's report from Scott where he had to endure the slings and arrows of a resident who's had their trash mixed. And I think basically he used some choice words for you, Scott. And I just wanted you to know that I support what you did in hanging up on that guy. There's no place for that in public discourse, and your actions in hanging up and doing what you did, I want you to know that I fully support. So with that, that's Art, you had something?
I just was curious about June 11th. What time do you start set up for it? At
7 in the morning.
7 in the morning.
Yes.
Okay.
The event's from 8 to 12.
Do you have a custodian that's going to meet you there, or who's going to meet you there?
Nabita's working that out. Someone from the school district will meet us there.
Okay. If you have a headache, call me because I got the keys for everything over there. So
Okay, then just show up. Just be there.
yeah, I'm up early, so maybe 7 o'clock. I'll come up.
Be there at 6.
I'm only 1 minute away. I got one key for the gate. That's all they need. That's all key I have.
You opened the door, Perry. All right, if there's nothing else before this body, I will adjourn our March 23rd meeting, May 23rd meeting. We are adjourned.
Okay,
Thank
good job.
you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you all.
You guys have- Good job. Good job.
Thank you.